Hey everyone, welcome to another video for ICM 2.0, the Python version. In this video, we are going to talk about conditionals. This is our very first video on conditionals, and we are going to be utilizing some very specific starter code that you can see on my screen. I've already made a copy. I would recommend making a copy as well. The starter code link is linked in the video description. And as a reminder, having your screen set up so you can see your code in this video at once is the most ideal way to go through these, pausing and rewinding as you need. Now, once you get into this starter code, you're going to notice that it looks quite a bit different than other projects we have done so far. On line 1, we're not importing processing, and as we go through, we don't have a draw or a setup function because we are not using processing. As we begin our journey into conditionals, we're actually going to start off canvas. When we work off canvas in Python, it parents to our console, which if it is not already there, you'll see when you run it. But it will pop up on the side where your canvas normally is. You're welcome to drag it up so it's a little bit easier to see. Everything is going to print here. And the reason why we are doing this is just to alleviate some of that stress of trying to make things look nice and just focus on learning the syntax and learning how to make these function. You'll notice in this project, there's a code along that we are going to do together in this video. And then there are also a series of challenges. I just want to call your attention to these as you'll be completing them on your own, and there may be a few that we just give tips for before the video is over. So let's take a peek at our starting challenge, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter and leave the comment so I can read it all at once now that my text is large. It says that I want to write a conditional statement where if the name, and I see it's kind of cased weird because it relates to a variable on line 1, is Beyonce, say, I love your music. Otherwise, say, nice to meet you. So right away, I noticed that what's stored in the name is not Beyonce. So whatever code I'm writing, I'm expecting that it should say, nice to meet you. Now, conditionals are something that is going to check for a condition. That condition is always something that we call a Boolean condition or a Boolean statement, because it can either be true or false. Your name can either be Beyonce or it's not Beyonce. When we write our conditionals, we start with the word if. It is always lowercase, and then immediately after we write our condition. Now here, I want the name to be Beyonce, and I can't just write the name is Beyonce. I need to write this in a way the computer will understand. So I'm going to say the name, double equal sign. Now this is a tricky part that people can forget. It is not just one equal sign, it is two. I like to remember that it is a double equal sign because you are comparing two things. Beyonce. That is what I am checking for. If the name double equal sign equals Beyonce, colon, everything is ending with a colon. Then when I enter down, you'll notice the computer is helping me out and I'm already tabbed in, I'm already indented. Just like we've seen with our functions, with our draw, with our setup, we need things indented underneath to make sure that the computer knows it's part of, it's inside, it's included in our conditional statement. So here, I just want one thing to happen if the name is Beyonce. I want to print to the console, I love your music. Now, if I were to run this right now, nothing will happen. It looks almost like it's frozen because nothing's going on. And that's because I haven't given it an alternative, and the name here is not Beyonce. So I'm going to hit enter, and you'll notice I'm still indented underneath my if statement. I want to write a new part to this statement. So I'm going to back up so I'm now in line with the if, and I'm going to write the word else. Now, if and else go together, you cannot have an else without an if, and because they go together, they're always in line with each other if they are part of the same blocked statement. So I'm going to hit a colon. Else statements do not have a Boolean statement like the name is Beyonce, because they're like a catch-all for everything else in the world that could possibly happen. So I'm going to hit enter, and again, it indents underneath because we are indented once. Everything we write here is part of the else statement. I'm going to print, nice to meet you. And now I'm going to try and run it, expecting that if my code works correctly, it should say nice to meet you. So I'm going to hit run, and we got it. It says nice to meet you, but let's make sure that our if statement is working. So on line 1, we're going to go ahead and change Samaya to Beyonce. And now I'm expecting it to say, I love your music. So now I hit run. Oops, I put Beyonce. I hit run, I get I love your music. And I can come back type in Samaya again, and it goes back to nice to meet you. This is our first little bit of decision making in our program. It's super useful. It's going to make our program so much more complex and engaging. And for now, we're just going to get used to the how of writing this with all of the core components, with our colon, with our print statements, with our else, getting used to the indentation. And that is what these challenges are here. One thing I do want to call to your attention, I'm going to go ahead and type this on the screen. We do have the double equals, which means the same as. We also have a less than or equal to sign. Or sorry, less than, greater than. I'm getting to less than or equal to. Those are like the alligator mouths that you've seen in math class. When we do want to talk about less than or equal to, it's that symbol with an equal sign right after it. And same thing with greater than or equal to. It is that sign, oops, I forgot my equal sign, right after it. There are a few situations that we are not talking about yet, but that do exist in programming. One is the use of not, which is an exclamation point. So if I wrote exclamation point equals, that would be not equal. We can explore that at a later date. There are also wonderful resources that exist online to help you learn about conditionals in just the most basic Python syntax. We will learn how to write more complex ones as we go. But for now, feel free to work your way through all 5 of these challenges, making sure that they run correctly, changing those variable names, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye.